from America. This is the Adult Swim Podcast, Rick and Morty Companion Edition. I'm Matt Harrigan, with me, Maxime Simonet.
Hello, with me, also Matt Harrigan. It's a back and forth, it's a reciprocation. It's so nice to be here, Matt.
We're talking about Rick and Morty number 407, Never Ricking Morty. If you haven't watched it yet, you might want to watch it first before you watch this, or beware of spoilers, right?
And what are spoilers, Matt?
They ruin the plot. We'll be talking with some of the folks who made this episode. Erica Hayes, who directed it. Jeff Loveness, who wrote it. Art director James McDermott. Lead character designer Carlos Ortega. Here we go. Light it up, Max.
Alrighty, it is lit.
Here it is. Hey, guys.
Hi.
Hello.
Oh, hello. Go around the horn here.
Everyone say your name and how old you are.
Why don't we raise our hands? Can we do that? Erica, we'll start with you.
Oh, okay. My name is Erica Hayes, and I'm...
You don't have to give your age.
I'm 32, I think. I'm pretty sure. And I directed this episode.
Jeff?
Jeff Loveness. I wrote the episode along with the whole writers team and Dan and everybody. I'm 30 years old, and I'm not like old, but I'm getting old. And I'm starting to feel like why adults are sad, and it's weighing on me a lot.
James?
James McDermott. I'm old enough. You don't need to know my age.
We don't need to know.
For the show. And love to be here.
Carlos.
Yeah, and Carlos Ortega Madden here actually, and I'm the lead character designer on that episode as well. And that age thing, yeah, I think I'm gonna keep that to myself too.
Carlos, no, you look like the perfect age at all times. You just look like you could be any age. It's like
you have not aged since season 1.
Well,
thank you very much. But it's like a good age too. Like you should sell an alcohol on TV. Like it's a very cool aging.
That could be my next gig, I think.
Yeah.
You guys have been living with this episode for a long time. When did this start?
I think I think we rebroke this thing 8 times, at least from a script point of view. I don't know. Like I think it started in like October or November. From Mike McMahon, who was our head writer. We were trying to think of a way to like one up either the anthology, their clip show, or we were going to do interdimensional cable for a while, but I think that fell apart. I can't remember. So like the challenge was to come up with a new type of experimental narrative episode. And I think it came from Mike and me and just the entire writer's room talking about this old Batman cartoon called Almost Got Him. Or it was like an episode of that 90s cartoon, which it just goes around about all these Batman villains talking about the times they almost got Batman. And then there's like, Canterbury Tales, Go Tell It on the Mountain by James Baldwin was the thing. So like, all that is to say, it started from a place of wanting to tell an anthology series, but then we saw that we had to go deeper because other shows had done anthologies or they had done experimental narratives. So like, then we just drove ourselves crazy. I think the final draft was in like April of 2019 or something. But when did you guys get it on the art side, Erica?
That sounds right.
Yeah,
more than a year ago.
Spring of last year.
Yeah, I think the and then like Harmon got in there, and we tore this thing up. I think April of 2019 is when I kind of stepped away from it, and then it went like fully off to art. But these things change all the time. Like I think that coronavirus joke was like a last minute ADR, I'm sure. So like these things change right up until the world falls apart.
So you're saying that wasn't in the original script a year ago?
No, the whole capitalism rant was. I was actually proud of myself on the weeks when we're sending back people to die. I was the whole capitalism rant was in there, but Dan added that. They must have added the virus thing last minute. Yeah.
The show comes out 11:30 Eastern last night. You watch it. Do you get on Reddit? Do you gauge the reaction immediately? Do you care? How do you guys handle when the show rolls out?
I did check Twitter. I was on Twitter for a while.
Do you have anxiety about it? Are you
Oh, yeah.
excited? Or are you terrified?
Terrified. I feel sick. I can't even watch the episode live.
Yeah, I want to cause myself pain. I just read, like, I find any web form I can. I feel like I'm like an AI security system just looking for dissent or something. Like, I read everything and I can't, but I shouldn't, but I do. But it was nice to write an episode that, like, it seems like people like it, you know, or, you know, there's always people that don't like stuff, but like, it seems it's been fun to write this one where, like, we really just threw as much as we could in there, and so we wanted to see what people dug, what people didn't like. I don't know. It's been cool to be part of a show that has such a big response.
It feels like when I was watching, it felt like parts of it were almost a response to the discussions of like a larger canon within the show and an arc to everything. So it felt like there's a response to that, and also an evolution of things people really responded to in like the interdimensional cable shit. Do you guys feel like you've maybe gone so far up yourself that it's hard to come back down?
Yeah, I don't think there is a down. Like, I think, I mean, you guys jump in on the art side too, but like, I think that was kind of the challenge when we thought, like, and you'll see this as seasons go on. I can't spoil stuff, I guess, but like, that's the beauty of this show, to where like there is no limit, and so we're only limiting ourselves if we play by these similar plot threads or narratives that we've been talking about for a while. And like, we haven't killed those plot lines. They were all just, you know, narratives within this one episode where anything goes. I don't know. We just took it as like, as carte blanche to do something truly experimental. And then, like, yeah, there was the challenge, I think you said, of like, we had to go so far up our own ass, because if we didn't go far enough, people would be mad that we didn't. So like, if you're gonna do like, because people have done the Batman, like, you know, sharing stories thing. People have done Canterbury Tale. Obviously, there's the 27 short films about Springfield. There's no shortage of like clip show kind of. I know Venture Brothers did one that was like Escape from the House of Mummies Part 2, which I love.
That episode's
like,
so good.
It's a great one. So like, we knew we had to go to that height, but then we thought, well, if we're doing this, let's crucify ourselves at the same time, just to kind of cover every end. But yeah, no, it was all part of the fun, man.
And
on the art side, it's really fun too, just to see like the new, like reading the new scripts and then just having conversation with, you know, like Erica and all the other directors, and James and Robbie, the other art director as well. Like, what are we going to do now that's like different based off of the script? That's also, and so that part to me is really exciting, just to kind of see like what the designers are going to come up with based off of like these new scripts, like just really pushing the envelope even more and more. So that's a lot of fun. That's what's exciting for me too, just to see all these new designs.
What was difficult about this one? Carlos, tell us what was difficult about this one.
Oh my gosh, I think what, for me, from a supervisor position or a lead position, I think what the challenge is just kind of like all these little plates that you're spinning at the same time, you know, because there's so much stuff going on. A lot of, like I was just saying about like some of the new characters that are created in the episodes. We try to do some like reuse if we can, but that's the fun part too about working on a show like this, is that you get to design new designs, but that also shows up with a little bit of its challenges on its own, because, you know, time is of essence, and time is the pressure cooker, and we want to have an excellent show and an excellent episode, and, you know, be as good if not better than the last, and just push ourselves, but at the same time we've got restraints. So that for me usually is a challenge, is to like try to get those things out to the level that we want them to be, but also within like the time frame that we need to have them in by. So yeah, that's usually what's the challenge on some of these episodes for me, at least.
Well, also,
my cat's automatic feeder is going off. I'm sorry if you can hear that.
No, it can't. Carlos, all y'all in the art department too, in a similar way to the explosions of the narrative, it feels like there's so many alien races you have to create. Do you guys often feel like I don't even know what other humanoid I can create at this point?
Not necessarily. I think that's one of the things that really attracted me to this show when I first met with James a while ago, and it was so exciting and refreshing for me, at least, to like be on a show that like would allow for such a grand scope of designing just random, funky looking designs and just having fun with them. It was something up until then that I never really had the privilege to like actually really to work on, because everything else was just really pretty much kind of paper, whatever. But so when it comes to that, it's sometimes you might feel, I don't know if I can like come up with some stuff. But then you see other designs from other designers and you get inspired, and you inspire each other and stuff. So for me, I don't think there really is. If there is some moments where like you kind of hit a wall, you just kind of like jump onto something else and come back and revisit it. But no, it's just a lot of fun, just creating just wacky, zany designs. And
how many of them are like super scripted? Like, for instance, in this episode, I thought there was that awesome visual with like the smoke coming out of the noses that were on their foreheads. That was so friggin' cool. What were those called? I don't know. Did they have a name? Or were they just there for like a minute, getting high?
Those characters
The aliens that were smoking in the...
Was that like really rigorously scripted? Like, okay, they're gonna have nostrils on the top of their head.
I don't think... Was that you guys? Like, that was a last-minute Dan scene that he tossed in about the teenagers, like, visualizing the fake world. Was that... Yeah, did you guys handle that?
For this episode, we ended up reusing and redressing some characters. That character was from season 3. So
yeah.
we were able to kind of repurpose that one.
You guys are sort of renowned for having such an extensive catalog of characters that show up for a few seconds and then disappear forever. It's got to be tempting sometimes to bring some of those back, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. We do it at every chance that we get.
I think the next episode, that was the big thing, right? Like we reused a lot, and well, we can't say, but yeah, the next one has a fair amount of reuse in a creative way.
Yeah.
Are you offering a spoiler?
No.
What are some...
Not a spoiler.
What are some little details that the viewer might look for in this episode? Little peculiarities that may be overlooked?
Starting in the bar car, I thought it was kind of fun. We had like what normally would be like a straw dispenser at every table. It just has a nunchuck dispenser at every booth and table. Trying to think of what other little fun.
Oh, one of the little beer tap heads was a Gromflemite head.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool.
Wasn't the first guy to come in, this might have been an old, like, I gave you guys maybe the stupidest visual direction of my life. Like, mix him with, like, was it Inspector Javert from Les Mis and Craven the Hunter or something? Like, that was, he had to have a big vest and all that. And then, like, you guys spent weeks and weeks and it went away. Like,
for Cravey Javer?
Cravey Javer, yeah, that first guy. Did he keep that? I can't remember. He had like the big vest.
That went through like 2 or 3 revisions, and then we were like done. But that one, Story Lord, I think went through more revisions and all that.
Passenger 1 and 2 went through a lot too.
Yeah.
We did a lot of back and forth about.
Give us an example of what
designs.
those revisions would be. Like, walk us through why did they get revised?
They get turned in, and there might be 3 choices and different outfits and that kind of thing. Each one is drawn in a particular way that just gives off a particular kind of tone and vibe, and the question is whether that matches what that character is trying to convey in the episode and what feels right to everybody in the room. So
and it might be like, James has his opinion of what it should look like, and maybe the director has an opinion, and the writer has an opinion, and Justin has an opinion. So it kind of just goes through these until everybody's on the same page.
Did you guys butt heads in this episode?
No,
I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm aware of.
This one was the one episode that went through really smoothly once it got to art. Like other times, whereas this one was like had the golden seal of approval pretty much the whole time. So
yeah, it's rare for the boars to just kind of go through and not have like that many notes and kind of just be like, okay, we're done, move it on to cleanup. So
this was an easy one.
Well,
on the script,
you guys have an easy
How
job.
about the context?
It went smoothly. I don't know if I would say it was easy, but it
compared to the others, right?
Yeah.
Chad is offering $100 for a spoiler. You can call in if you want, 708-794-6386. We've got Erica Hayes, James McDermott, Carlos Ortega, and Jeff Loveness.
If you guys want any ideas for spoilers to talk about, you can talk about Rick's pregnancy, maybe, that's coming up this season.
Oh.
Hey, you're on the line with the Rick and Morty Companion Live podcast.
Oh. I had a question about the Bechdel test bit, where that came from.
Tell us about the Bechdel test and how that was.
Where'd that bit come from?
Where'd that come from?
That came pretty late. That was us. Like, we had this giant whiteboard full of stuff, and we had a list of like complaints about the show and things that people think the show is about that it's not. And we had all this stuff in there, and we realized that it was I think in the season we hadn't even done a lot of Beth and Summer yet. We had Beth and Summer in the Love Finders episode, but we have more of them in later seasons. But at this point, we realized, oh yeah, we haven't really been using like Beth and Summer, especially in this episode too, since it is so Rick centric. And so we just thought, what's something we could? Oh, let's just like have force them in, like very like intentionally, crudely, like shove them into the episode and we just thought, I mean, I love Fun Home. I love Are You My Mother? And it just kind of came in naturally. Like, oh yeah, have him literally break the Bechdel test and kind of like make fun of the very self-servicing, like usually male writer who thinks he's such a good, dialogue between women. And we just thought it was a way to really like show a flaw in our season, but then also like make fun of it and press onwards. And kind of like, hit it with a hammer.
Like making fun of ourselves more than anything.
Now, caller, did that moment resonate with you?
Oh, it was probably the part that I laughed at the most, because I'm also a huge fan of like Fun Home, and
it's great.
So
yeah.
I immediately was just like, this. And of course, I mean, heavy special time destroying scorpions.
How it works. I think that's how it works.
Art-wise too, we
it's
try
exactly how I imagined Morty would, write to women.
Yeah. I loved Morty's Mike Johnson story too. That made me laugh a lot.
Thanks for calling.
So you guys have a list of things that people complain about.
It wasn't even like complaining. It was originally in the first couple takes of the script. It was more of that almost Gotham Batman style. So we spent more time, and I think you guys can speak to this on the art side. I don't know if you saw this, but like the vignettes were longer. And so like that first opening scene with like that Space Emperor guy, that was a whole different opening. I think maybe this is a spoiler, I don't know. It was, if you've read Dune or you've seen Gladiator, we were going to do this like really poignant short story about this gladiator who was like, his life was ruined by Rick accidentally years ago. And it was going to be his like journey to seek revenge. And he just gets killed basically off screen by Rick, who never even notices him. But like, that thing was a long cold open. We cut that down and then we rewrote it to like a short thing. I don't know, like this thing went through so many script revisions. It was going to be like heavy vignettes, and then we truncated it down. And then it just became more about literally random characters as we pieced together the narrative that none of these stories make sense. I feel I lost track of the question. Was that about right? I have dozens of vignettes and things that I wrote for this that I'll talk about Jesus Christ when he came in later.
Hey, you're on the line with the Rick and Morty you're on the Rick and Morty podcast.
Companion podcast.
Pandemonium podcast.
Live.
Crazy. We're in Crazy Town, USA, blowing up mom and pop shops.
My question is regarding Rick's face. We've seen him pray twice now. And what gave you guys the idea to throw in the God, Jesus Christ stuff?
Oh, that is maybe the most fun I've had in a writer's room in my life, because we were stumped for weeks on how to end this, and we didn't know how to end it, and nothing felt like we got ourselves into a hole where like we had this cool villain about like, oh, he's like, he can trap you within a narrative. We used if you know Superman comics, Mr. Mitzelspitlick a little bit, or like Q from Star Trek, sort of like an extra dimensional creature that could trap you within your own limitless narrative potential. And so we thought like, okay, what's the thing that would kill Rick and Morty? we're like, well, like it becomes too popular. Like, oh, sure. Like most shows do. Like, oh, they jump the shark. Yeah, we've seen that. Or people will get the reference. And we just eventually just one day, it's like, wait, what if like the creators became super Christian and like in the way like they become like Kirk Cameron Christian or just that weird like. I grew up that way myself too. It's like I love '90s Christian television and all that. But we thought, oh, that would be a way to kind of kick the tire out of the show. And like if they just became super devoutly religious, and we used a lot of like the art team. They just nailed like that aesthetic of early '90s Christian animated entertainment that I grew up on. So I don't know. It just came from a place of trying to one up it. But then we thought also like, yeah, let's put in jokes and do all that. But we also thought like, well, we're also technically showing Jesus like save people and be kind. And like, well, I guess like it's not the worst portrayal of Jesus. He's very fit and it works. But yeah, it came from a place of trying to one up ourselves and being in a corner. And then my decades of Christian education came in handy, I guess.
The language that you used in that, it seems like you were careful to use some real thing.
Oh, yeah, the sinner's prayer. Yeah. I've gotten a lot of weird like tracts passed to me on Amtrak trains and inside of Carl Jr.'s and stuff by strange people. So I tried to use the tract language of all that stuff.
I wonder if you get any pushback, if that would raise any hackles anywhere out there.
Thanks for calling.
I even like. I mean, even I think Jesus can take it. He's a cool guy.
Yeah. Cum gutters.
Oh.
You've added to the lexicon.
Yeah, where did that come from?
Yeah, where did that come from?
It's just writer's room. Like that's the part of the joy and what I miss now is like it's that writer's room energy. And it was where you're just joking about stuff. I forget who said it first. Was it Sean Perlman? Or was it? It might have been me. I don't want to take full credit. Like it's one of those like big energy things in a room where it's like this collective effort. But I do love. I think I said this in the behind the scenes. I love a moment in any show when like an old man rips off his clothing and to reveal like he's been training to fight you. And I don't know, it just became a motif, and then Dan ran with it. We brought it in 3 times, and then I think we got Jesus first, but then we realized now that we have Jesus, we can bring back the cum gutters for a 3rd time, and that was, once you had the 3rd cum gutter, you could close out the episode.
You're on the line with the Rick and Morty
Think of that
live companion. Oh, I guess I didn't say hello. Sorry, sometimes I bring them on while we're talking to keep them in the background, and then they get bored, I guess.
It's hard to unthink of the cum gutters now.
No, that was the point. They come back. I
works.
will say, people stick around for season 5. That's all I'll say.
They come back.
Hey, you're on the line with the Rick and Morty Companion Podcast live. Cum Gutters Hotline.
I got a question.
All right, let me hear it.
What could you make a crossover with Rick and Morty and so opposite?
Could you make a crossover with Justin Roiland's new show on Hulu? I think that's the question.
Yes.
I don't know. They're different networks.
Are they in the same?
I don't know.
Have you ever,
You've earned a bonus question, sir.
You've earned a bonus question, sir.
Can I ask another question?
Yeah, you earned another bonus question.
I got a question. Like, have you ever thought of doing a crossover with other TV shows, like for example, like The Simpsons or Family Guy or South Park? I mean, South Park, that has a different like universe.
Sir, why are you obsessed with crossovers?
He loves sports.
Well, there was that one little bit where like the Simpsons gets.
We did The Simpsons.
Oh yeah, we did.
Yes, sir.
Crashed into their
The
ship.
Simpsons intro.
They did a Simpsons intro, dude.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Now, see, now you remember.
There's your answer.
There's your answer, man. I love you very much.
708-794-6386. Call up and ask these guys. They made Rick and Morty.
If you guys have more Rick and Morty requests, call in. We'll see what we can make happen tonight.
Crossovers.
Have you guys ever thought of doing a live action surfing documentary for Rick and Morty?
What would you cross over with? Like that actually is a nice thing.
So you hop on Reddit after this. I did, and a lot of people are saying that the show is sort of fucking with their fans.
Mhm.
Is that accurate, do you think?
I think some of those fans deserve to be fucked with a little bit,
Uh-huh.
but there's also some entitlement there. Whereas, like,
The fan entitlement?
well, no, but also like viewer, like you expect that. What piece of art do you expect to please you all the time? And I think the purpose of this show and what's beautiful about the show is that if we're doing our job, we should do stuff that surprises you and pushes you. And some stuff, yeah, like some stuff might not land for you, or some stuff might be different, but I don't know. I think it wasn't like an attack on the fans, but it was a way of showing like, no, like we're going to do this our way, and we're going to be experimental, and we're going to keep building out the umbrella of the show. But I don't think, as far as the fan stuff goes, like we got good stuff coming up. So I think you guys will be fine. Like,
and like you were saying earlier, Jeff, like just because, you know, we showed it this way and you'll probably never see it this way again, that doesn't mean we're dropping those storylines completely.
The whole point of that episode was that it's non-canonical, or that it's, it's continuity. Like all this, I'm an old comic book guy. Like I love plot lines and big turns and stuff. Like you guys, I think you guys will be happy with the stories that you're expecting.
You mentioned before the podcast when you and I were speaking privately, Jeff.
Yes, about the Bang.
You're talking about the Bang Bros blanket? Is that what you just said?
No, I said Bang Bros.
You were talking about how Dr. Storyman came in later in the writing process. I kind of want to know when and how you guys decided to justify the conceit.
Story Lord.
Story Lord, not Dr. Storyman.
I think it when it became clear, there was like a big shift in the episode's creation, where it originally was going to be like maybe the first couple of minutes, where it was like a whole episode of vignettes, and then the vignette character Rick and Morty were not even in the episode until the end, like on that way, as they look at the train for a long time. Like Rick and Morty, the characters, were not going to be in the episode, and then we put them in around the midway point, but then we realized, let's put them in earlier, so it becomes a Rick and Morty episode. And so, like, I mean, there have been so many variations, and the Story Lord came in because we realized, so we'll reveal Rick and Morty sooner, and then they'll realize they're trapped in this prison. So then it came like, oh, well, who's imprisoning them? And I think I pitched, or someone pitched, like, well, we've never done a villain that's more experiential. We've never done, like I said, like a Mitchell Spitlick, a Q, a Mysterio type villain, like someone who's just a little more like omnipresent and manipulative. But yeah, Story Lord came in late, and I think, and then he became a vessel for Harmon to like make fun of himself, basically, and just a love of structure. And then we just put a little bit of like once we got Paul Giamatti, then we wrote a lot of it. But like, I don't know, he came because we just wanted one more old guy to have cum gutters, basically. That's where his inception.
Are you guys mocking yourselves about the storytelling technique?
Oh yeah, 100%. We realized once we had set off on this journey, we need to have just a piece of shit at the end of the line. Like I love like Heart of Darkness or Apocalypse Now, or like Snowpiercer, any of that. There's always like a guy at the end, the architect in the Matrix, and like the art team. I think I just told you guys Matrix Space Fraser, and you guys took it away. Like it was incredible design.
Yeah, we asked to see if we could have Harmon be the design, but that was an immediate no.
Right.
On the nose.
For Matrix Space Fraser?
Yeah.
You actually said that to him, and he said no?
Oh no, I think that's a line in the episode. That was just like how we were. I think when I pitched him, like Matrix, and the fact of like a big guy giving you a monologue at the end, space, and then like I just wanted to look like Fraser, to be a nerd, and to be like. I think we were maybe angling for Kelsey Grammer for a brief second, but then it was just too close to Sideshow Bob, and we decided to go with someone else.
You're on the line with the Rick and Morty Companion Podcast Live.
Go ahead. What's your question?
Caller. Oh, well.
Oh.
Guess I suck. What's the hardest color to draw? That's mine. I'm just kidding.
What? Do you look at the episode when it comes on last night, are there things that you're surprised that made it all the way through? Things that should have been, that you thought would go?
Yeah, I was surprised at that musical. The song was great, but I always thought that was a joke that was going to get lost. Or I thought, I was surprised. I didn't know if that Jesus stuff was going to make it in all the way, just because that was such a personal pitch, and you always get attached to stuff. I didn't think Goomby, like the holiday one. I mean, I'm the most neurotic guy, and I wrote like 40 vignettes, so you never know what's gonna fit in. But I was surprised at some of the choices, but I love it. Like, I love Goomby. I really love how that worked out.
You're on the line with the Rick and Morty Companion Podcast. What's your name and what's your question?
Hi, I was wondering about the Roy game. I noticed it was again in this episode, and I was wondering if you were going to make a Roy game for real life.
Man,
I
don't know.
I'm almost surprised. Like every time we get like some of the merchandise that's going to come out, I'm surprised. It's a pleasant surprise to see what's being picked to be made into toys and stuff. There's just so much stuff out there. So I personally don't have any idea of like what's going to be pitched to be made into toys and stuff. So that'd be pretty cool.
That would be a fun like VR experience or something. You could.
Yeah.
That'd be really fun.
What do you think is going to end up as a toy out of this one?
Thanks for calling.
We were supposed to have that train. I don't know what happened. I guess the world fell apart. We were supposed to have the website, and like we were going to make this toy train.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
It was legitimately going to happen, but it didn't happen?
It was. We were emphatic about it in the room that like the whole point of the show was to sell model toy trains. I was going to get one for my dad.
Yeah, those designs came out really, really nice. Really cool.
Yeah, I kind of thought that was going to be a real thing also.
Who knows? It might.
Still.
It could be.
It's a badge of honor when I guess something maybe that you design turns into a toy. Carlos, are you close to those decisions? How does that work?
Oh no, I'm not close to those decisions at all. Like what's going to get made or not. I don't know who makes those decisions. If it's Justin or but it is really cool to answer your question about to see some of the designs that that the designers make and then get picked and be made into these cool little Funko toys. It's always really fun to see like the different styles and the different ways that they're portrayed in different. What I think there's a couple. Different variations of like one character, so it's always really cool to see what gets picked and like there was this cute little snake that was made from one of our snake episodes. I was surprised, and out of all the snakes that we designed, it was a little like Terminator snake that was made. It's a tiny little thing, but it was really cool. So to see all those little things, it's just it's fun to see them in 3D, and to be made into toys.
How do you
I want to see
know?
Biblesaurus. Biblesaurus is the one I want to see.
Biblesaurus
Yes. I would love to see all of those guys made into toys.
What if Biblesaurus did a crossover with The Simpsons?
He in Flanders. Lovejoy, whatever.
Caller would be really happy.
There's some significant violence in this episode.
Yes.
How do you know? I guess Erica, let's ask you. How do you know how violent to go, or when dial it
there's
back?
really no limit.
There's
on
no
this
limit.
Show.
Is that your call?
It's not my call. It's just it's something that we've come to realize. I think all of us is that we can go as insane as we want. I think only recently we started getting some more S&P notes about like guts and things like that. Like there's only so much internal organs that we're allowed to show now, but
Did you have to dial things back in this episode?
Not that I recall.
Because it's just blood. They always say in their messages, no excessive gore. But as long as it's blood, they're fine for some reason.
Yeah.
I did come across one of the James. I don't know, because I didn't get to see it so well. But the train conductor, the tickets please guy, happened to see the design turn that we did, and it had all the when he's cut in half and all the guts and stuff. Did they still show that on the episode? I didn't get to see that part.
I didn't really notice that if they did, because he was always draining out blood. I mean, floating blood man or whatever his name was. So.
Yeah, it might have been dialed back just a smidge, but not much.
Yeah, we really dialed back the part where the guy got ripped between realities and sprayed blood across.
How much goes into the script, Jeff, of the violence?
There's one like next week, and it's a big part of it. Yeah, you write for. I guess it varies because like you do work so closely with the art team, and like there are certain points when in the script you're just trying to kind of get the jokes across where you're a little more spare, but then and you trust them to really bring it to life and flesh it out. But then sometimes you get a little more detailed with it. I guess it's just kind of an ebb and flow in a conversation with the art people because they're so like they elevate it so much. So sometimes I trust them enough where I'll just leave it like a line or two. Like I think I just wrote like, you know, Story Lord kicks Rick and Morty's ass through the window, and then Erica and the whole team just made that such a funny, fluid like fight sequence. So yeah, it's a bit of both.
You're on the line with
I remember.
Oops, sorry.
Sorry.
I got 3 questions.
No, let Erica talk first. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, for an example, I know in the Pickle Rick episode when Pickle Rick is fighting all the rats, like most of that was just the board artist going insane. Like I think the script just called for a fight, and the board artist really just took it to that level.
Yeah.
So.
You're on the line with
Hello?
the Rick and Morty Companion Podcast. Now you're allowed to speak, sir.
I got quick 5 questions.
Oh, you can only ask one of them.
We'll see. We'll
One
do
of
one,
them.
and then we'll see. If
We'll
the
do
second-
one. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, we'll work our way to 5. That's
All
fine.
right. The question I got is, when is Pickle Rick going to return?
Ooh, I can't answer that either way. Although we do answer something, and then I think there's a conversation to be had about, do we want these things to return, or is it better to do one-off stories? I don't know. We talk about that later. I can't
What do you
say.
think?
Can I
What's
ask
your
another
opinion?
question? It's from
Hold on. Let's
episode,
get the
from
answer to this
episode.
one, Jeff. What's your opinion? Should they return?
You go next question. Next question. He's got a lot.
What made you like play the A Boogie song on the Rick and Morty season 4, episode 1 or 2? I think.
Oh, I'm not the music supervisor. I'm not sure. But probably just fit with the editing, and we have great music people. Like, do you guys know?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I think we just got great editors and great music like Ryan Elder and all those guys.
Post production.
Yeah, sometimes you put it in
Have you?
the script, but like I don't think I put that in. I think that's just on the editing production side.
Have you ever thought of like doing a Rick and Morty Star Wars episode?
Oh my god. Bye.
You
same guy?
can't do like a Star Wars. You can't really do like a Star Wars parody because, like, you know, Family Guy did that a decade ago, and like, but Star Wars is so seeped into our culture. I think you can use it as a launching point to like next week. There's for sure a ton of Star Wars stuff in there, but like I look at Star Wars as like a monolith. It's like this, you know, it's owned by the biggest company in the world. We're all like mandatory. Like we used to love it, but now it is like this somewhat ever-reaching force. So I think it's funnier to kind of make fun of what Star Wars represents rather than just do like a branded commercial for Star Wars, if that makes sense. Like use what you love about Star Wars to make something new. Don't just do a Star Wars episode, if that makes sense. So yeah, there is a lot of Star Wars stuff coming up, but it's not about Star Wars. It's about something else.
At what point in the process do these last-minute additions, like the COVID joke, come in? And how often do you guys have to completely reanimate things, or are you guys keeping stuff in like an animatic form long enough to figure out what they want?
They might have like a lip sync or something like that in animation, but like that scene already had other lines, and they must have recorded that in the last couple weeks. And then animation team had to, you know, kind of lip sync everything to make sure it hooks up to the dialogue.
But that one's like
Yeah.
a pretty simple one because it's just like, you know, you probably have the mouth rig and it's a shot. But has there been really complicated moments where you have to completely throw in a new action sequence out of nowhere?
Yeah.
Yes, it happens. It does happen.
And there's new characters added there, you know, that didn't exist before. all sorts of things. So
Dragon, like the whole second act, I mean, that they just like went
Oh,
weak.
wow.
The whole
Yeah, we
thing.
had to design all these new dragons. We had
so sorry.
like 6 new ones or something like that, like completely different ones, and then turn them all. And
well, Shadowjacker, that whole bit didn't
that
exist
one.
last minute. So
Shadowjacker with the last minute, he had to go into the episode. Yeah.
Mhm.
You guys have a
Yeah,
question?
I think we have people working until like the day before it airs. I swear it. Like we have people just fine tuning until the very last second.
There's a question in the chat. How much control, BNJ Rivera? How much control do you have on actual sponsor stuff, commercial work? A significant Wendy's sponsorship at the beginning of this.
Right. I don't know. Like, yeah. I mean, do you guys know? I used to work in late night TV. It's like you don't even know when that stuff is happening. And like, yeah. Do you guys work on that stuff? I never did. But then you'll just see a commercial pop up.
It was good. It seemed fun.
Yeah, really good. I like the Pringles one.
I worked on the Pringles one and the Sony Death Stranding one. And
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
yeah, the Death Stranding one, they seem to have a little bit more wanting to weigh in and give their 2 cents. With Pringles, as long as their logo's red and everything was reading in that way, then that's kind of mostly what they care about. They kind of let us do what we wanted.
Are you careful? Do you feel like you have to be careful about being topical or not topical?
Opposite. You have to. I had to write this stuff in like April and November of November 2018 and through like April 2019, and it comes out May 2020. So I think with animation, since it takes too long, you can't be topical, because if you're just making like covfefe jokes and the world moves so quickly now, I think the thing you should be is timely and not topical. Like make fun of. So like next week in particular, for some reason I'm fixated on next week's episode. I think it's about things that are happening in the world, but it's not about, a reference that Trump made or a gaffe. It's about more like when you're a writer or whatever, like write for the feeling of what's going on and maybe where you think the world is going, because in a year people are going to watch it. But yeah, I don't think our show does topical too much, just because it's so. I mean, it comes out a year later, so it's something maybe we'll improvise, but. I think if you're writing an animation, stay away from topical and go more for timely or like how you're feeling. But that's just me.
Yeah, South Park's like the only one that can get away with it.
Right.
Yeah.
708-794-6386 is the number here. You're listening to the Rick and Morty Companion Podcast live with a bunch of the creatives behind it. Carlos Ortega, the character design lead, Erica Hayes, the director, Jeff Loveness, the writer, and James McDermott, art director. Maybe you have a question for them.
You're on the line with the Rick and Morty Companion Podcast talking about Story Lord's Magical Train.
Hello?
Yes.
What's your question, sir?
This is the same.
One question. Have you ever thought of like doing a Rick and Morty anime episode?
Yeah, I love
Charlie Brown crossover.
An enemy episode? What?
This is the same guy, isn't it?
He's got like 3 different phone numbers. I don't understand what's happening.
Dying to know.
Oh my god.
Oh wow.
Maybe this will be.
We had that little anime short that we released a few weeks
Oh,
ago.
that was awesome.
Hey, you're on the line with the Rick and Morty Companion Podcast talking about Story Lord's Train of Magic. What's your line?
Hi, this is Matt. Am I going on here?
Yeah, you're
Go
going
ahead.
on
What's
here.
your question?
Okay, cool. So am I just asking a question?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to ask if there's like any Rick and Morty like movie that's gonna like come out.
All right. The question is there any Rick and Morty movie that's going to come out?
Not that I'm aware of. I asked that same question a while back.
Yeah.
How did that go? Did you in an aggressive way,
said
Carlos?
that they wanted to.
Yeah, James and I got on a little bit of an arm wrestling competition about it. It was the thought that I had, and I was like, hey, that'd be cool to. I was wondering if just a thought came in my head about maybe seeing this in the big screen and all the magic that we all do, and But no, I think I got the same response.
Yeah, I think we'd all like to,
Yeah.
for sure.
I know it's been discussed, but everything, if there is anything, it's under wraps and no one else knows about it yet. So,
Yeah.
except for the writers.
Feels like a lot of effort
Yeah.
and time
Yeah.
that would be
Let's do-
diverted from the TV show.
Yeah, let's do season 5.
You guys have a lot of episodes coming up. Does it seem overwhelming or is it exciting? How does that feel?
A lot of what?
All the episodes that you have in store.
Oh, yeah.
Very exciting.
Very exciting.
I'm excited for this batch. Like I wrote on the next 3 or the next 2, and then I've got 2 of season 5. So like my job is done. So now it's fun. I just rely on the art team now to make it way better. So yeah, it feels nice to me. It's like, oh, finally all that work is done. So I can just kind of see it when it comes out.
Caller and chatter asking, would there be a musical episode of Rick and Morty?
Oh my gosh.
Almost.
You got a taste of it.
Yeah, well, when you have a moment like that's like an offhand, like, oh, this is almost as if there was a world of 20 Rick and Morty musical episodes, but
Right.
we just summed it up by saying we only needed this one clip. Does it make it feel like that's off limits in the future?
It felt like, I think I wrote like a Rent. I wrote some weird 90s musical theater stomp Rent thing that we changed into that Vietnam flashback. It changed all over the place. I think that we went down there and just realized, like, do we want to do this? Like, South Park does music so much better. Like, Simpsons has done great music. Like, we're not Seth MacFarlane. Like, I don't know if we need to do a musical thing. I think that taste was enough, but I don't know.
You guys are very aware of the other animated shows and what they've done, and do you pay a lot of attention to that?
Not as a rule. I think just myself, if you're working in comedy or animation or anything, you just have to kind of be consuming a lot so you don't repeat, and it just kind of helps you be a more voracious reader yourself. But yeah, I think it's on us as writers in the show just to like keep it as fresh as possible.
Yes. Same with directing.
Well, Erica, when it comes to wielding your director hand, what was some of your favorite, maybe big decisions you had to make this episode? Did you ever have to lay the law down and merge people's ideas together and say, this is the compromise now?
It's always it's always merging everyone's ideas together. I feel like every scene and sequence is kind of that. And but I will say that in terms of storyboarding, this episode, like I said, went pretty smoothly the first time around. I was worried because I had an unusual number of storyboard artists working on it in the thumbnail stage. Normally it's about 4, and this time it was 8. So I was kind of scared that, it was going to get like way too messy and I wouldn't be able to kind of keep track of everybody and what everyone's doing, but it ended up being pretty smooth. And I don't know. I don't think there was a moment where I was like, no, we have to redo this whole thing. Like, this is all wrong. I think everybody was pretty on point.
So there was a lot of board artists this time for this episode, you said?
Yeah, for this specific episode, it just worked out that way in the schedule, and everybody kind of got thrown onto it. And I just remember in the launch meeting there was like 20 people in there. It was crazy.
Did it work well? Maybe because there were so many different vignettes that maybe people could lend a different flavor to everything?
I think so. Everyone kind of got their own little vignette, and that's the way that the interdimensional cable episodes always worked too. And that's what was so fun about those, is everyone kind of got to do their own little skit. And
Thank you. I've asked my best question of the night, Matt.
Oh, that was great, Max.
Yeah, I'm gonna go leave now.
708-794-6386. Got a few more minutes left with these guys.
You're on the line with the Rick and Morty Companion Podcast live. What's your question?
Yeah, so in the last episode, when Rick went to grab the throttle and it broke off, if you pause, it looks like there's a little code inside the throttle.
I saw that.
And also,
what was that?
Erica, are you single?
There it is.
Yeah, baby. Man, I'm pretty.
The code did say that everyone on the podcast is using this as a dating platform. The best caller gets to date all 4 of you.
I'm not single.
Secret code.
Yeah, what was that code?
Who puts that in? What's it say? What can you say?
Walk us through the decision behind that code.
It was just supposed to be like the back of a sticker kind of thing. So
He
there
has
was
a barcode, I think, or like a
of a decal like that you put on like a model plane or something, you know. So,
But James, if you had to make up something to make people out there more excited than they should be, what would you say?
where the bodies are buried? I don't know.
Oh, okay. The original 4 Dan Harmons. Buried. I got a sincere question from our coworker, Jay Rubin. I think this is good because it's, instead of being about crossovers, it's about things that apply to you guys, and you can all answer. If you all suddenly had to go work for another show right now in this moment, what are the kind of shows that you'd like to work for? And some of you probably do work for other shows.
Well, I'll say I really like the new. I just saw the new. What is it? The Gospel at Midnight, or
Really good.
Midnight Gospel, yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
man,
really good.
I really like what they're doing there. Like the designs, the background, story, everything, the interviews. That's exciting. That's fresh and exciting. I like that.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a big fan of Pendleton Ward's stuff, so anything by him I think would be super fun to work on. Or I was a big fan of Steven Universe too, something along those lines. Yeah.
I think I would want to do, on the comedy side of things, I'd love to work on I Think You Should Leave by Tim Robinson. I think is a really cutting edge sketch show. I think it's so creative and it pushes the boundaries. Animation, I would make the 90s X-Men cartoon and bring it back and then write that.
Yes.
Can you sing us the theme song from that? How does that one go?
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, I'll do the instrumental track for the show. But no,
but how does I'm genuinely curious. How does it go? Like,
well, it's like da 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 da. They're in space. They're flying in space. They have their jet, and like Rogue is doing the flip, and Storm's going, and I'll do the whole performance.
Oh no, I got it here.
Yeah. It's they've heard too much of my 90s X-Men references in a heartbeat. It's a great
Okay, that was
perfect show. It's a perfect show. I would write on that.
James, you're last.
I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of doing it, so I'm on the show I want to be on. Midnight Gospel was great. I just saw that the other night. I've never really done features, so animated features. I'd be kind of curious about that, but beyond that, there's nothing else out right now that I'm dying to jump onto. So,
Buno's in the chat saying, any more big animation set pieces planned, like the Rick Army?
Yeah,
that was a crazy shot.
That was insane.
Give me some background on that.
That one went back and forth like 30 times with the guy setting it up and everything. And Erica, I don't know what you guys went through on that one, but
yeah, on our end, the script I think called for like a Helm's Deep type shot.
Minas Tirith, yeah.
Minas Tirith, yeah. And so I just roughly thumbnailed it out, handed it off to Doug Olson, and he cleaned it up in, I think, After Effects. And then after that, it went on to animation, and yeah, I don't think we've ever done anything like that.
Yeah,
Will we do it again?
It did feel like the most like 2.5D shot that I've been aware of in the Rick and Morty series.
The animator that did the intro to Futurama is the animator who set all that up.
That's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we just knew from the script, it was like, it's like a fake series finale. So we just knew like it had to be as cinematic and as big as possible. And I tried to write the most Tolkien, give the fans what they think they want. Like, let's give them a taste of that. And all I did was write,
Yeah.
oh, the big army, and it's like Lord of the Rings, and these people, like, incredible work. Like they really.
I think there was even a moment where we didn't know if we were going to be able to do it, like because it was a little too ambitious, but it worked out, and I feel like we'll probably do something like that again in the future, but hopefully not too soon.
Unfortunately, we've opened that box now because that was something.
I know.
Justin was the one that was like, "No, we're doing it." So, only thing from that whole moment. So,
yeah.
Set the bar up a little higher now.
Yep.
I think we got time for one more question.
Okay, I got it right here.
Let's hear it.
From someone in a 402 area code, and I'll tell you guys where that is, just so you guys know. That is Nebraska.
Go ahead,
Hello?
caller.
Hey,
Hi.
Is Erica there? I can't really see my screen right now.
I'm here.
Oh my gosh, you are so beautiful. I follow you on Twitter. Oh, I had a question. What is the process of your directing on the show?
So the process is we first get the script, and then I have to know what my storyboard team is. And once I figure that out, I have to break up the script and kind of assign the scenes to the board artists that, I think would basically be a good match, a good fit for them, based on their skill set and their, what they personally like storyboarding. And then we have sort of a meeting and we go through the whole script. We talk it over, like all four of us here would be in that meeting. And then I kind of, after the meeting's over, I talk to the board artists individually, see if they have any questions about their specific scenes. And then we kind of go into the rough thumbnail stage first and just rough it out with whatever temp dialogue we have. And then, when they're finished, they send it to me and I kind of like go through and see if there's anything I'd like to change. I give notes, or if it's wonderful and perfect, then I can just send it through. And then, when that stage is done, we get the cleanup stage, I guess. We get the writers get to see the thumbnail stage and they give their notes. And it's just a very back and forth process of like me, my board team, the writers and the designers too, working with them and getting reference for backgrounds, for characters, anything that we need to help us board along the way to finish the episode. It's a long process.
There you have it. I hope that answered your question.
Let me see. Did it? Ma'am, did that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Who
Thank you so much.
Can you tell us who else in the group is beautiful, though?
Oh, you're all beautiful.
Nice. Guys, we did it. We're all beautiful.
We did it. Rick and Morty number 407, Never Ricking Morty. Thanks to Erica, Jeff, James, Carlos. Thanks for coming on, guys.
Thanks for having
us.
Yeah, that was fun. Good to see you.
Never Ricking Morty.
Super fun.
Okay, let's do it again right now. All
right, now we'll start.
All righty. I'm going to lower everyone's mics. Let's have a good time.
Stick around. We've got...
What do we got, Matt?
Oh, the Fan Fiction Showdown. Moments away from the Fan Fiction Showdown.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
This has been the Rick and Morty Companion Podcast live. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.
Thanks.
Thank you. Good to see you guys.